Would you take me seriously if I said that the invention of Bitcoin is as important as the invention of money? To understand why I'd make such a bold claim, I'll do a comparison between two eras, the one before Bitcoin and the one after. This is the second part of my three-part mini-series. Here, I'm attempting to demystify Bitcoin and its implications on the financial world. In this part, I'll try to explain why there was a need for an electronic cash system in the first place. In the process, we'll learn about the different methods of payments we use and also understand how Bitcoin is shaking up the financial realm. Although it might seem that we use many different methods of payments for different times, we can almost always divide them in two major categories. The first is, of course, cash payments. If you're older than 6, you probably have had at least one experience with this type of payment. You buy something and you give cash in return. It's simple, it's instant, and it does not require the presence of anyone else other than the two people doing the exchange. This is probably the reason why it's the most used method of payment in the world. It does have a few drawbacks though. The major drawback is the requirement for both parties and the cash to be physically present. This wasn't too much of a problem in the greater past because most payments were being made locally anyways. But today, the world is more globally connected than it ever was. For example, it's definitely not convenient for Netflix to send payment collecting representatives all over the world. These issues led us to create a second method, and it's called the intermediated payment system. Even if you're older than 60, you probably have had at least one experience with this type of payment. This includes your credit cards, your debit cards, wire transfers, and even online services such as PayPal. This payment is done through third parties who are able to connect your banking services and transfer your funds for you. This method is definitely more convenient, especially when there's a large sum of money involved, and it also allows payments to be processed globally. Now that's pretty neat. But like everything else, intermediated payments also have several drawbacks. Like there's always a risk that the party processing the payment might mess up. The banks that you use could also suspend, freeze, or block your payments. Or even worse, the service that you use could get hacked. There are countless horror stories of people losing a big chunk of their money due to the negligence of a third party. Other major drawbacks include heavy service charges and long lead times to process the payments. Because of this weird mix of good and bad, people have been using a combination of both methods. This had been happening for a few decades, and this could have easily gone forever. But in 2008, a peer-to-peer form of electronic cash, better known as Bitcoin, was introduced to the world. Bitcoin combines the safe and secure nature of cash payments with the global reach and convenience of intermediated payments. If you want a non-technical explanation of how Bitcoin is able to do that, you should watch the first part of this series. Since Bitcoin can emulate all the features of cash while having the ability to completely operate online, it enables its users to instantly transfer funds all over the world. That too without any unfair regulation or an insanely high transaction fees. This has been totally unprecedented before Bitcoin. This is also why it wouldn't be an overstatement if I say that Bitcoin has completely revolutionized the global financial realm. This is a lot more apparent when you look at the astonishing features of Bitcoin as a currency. Coincidentally, this is exactly what I'll be covering in the next and final part of this series. Hi again. If for some weird reason you forgot to like this video, that's completely fine. You can do it now. Have you done it? Have you? Great! Have a wonderful day and I'll see you in the next video.